Hi, again. I'm going to talk about another critical incident and breakthrough moment that I recently just had with a student. I was working with a student who is non-native English speaker, and this is something that I'm also interested in because I did take the teaching English as a second language class where it had service learning, where I was working with adults who were non-native English speakers. And so I take some of the tactics that I learned during those courses into my what I do at Agape with these students who don't speak English very well. So I was working with a student and we were working on, I'm going to sound like the worst math tutor. I honestly forgot what it's called, but it's some algebra where the details are not super important. But I was working with her and there was this whole long sheet and it was super daunting on her. I could tell she's like, oh, I don't want to do this. And so I watched the video with her. There was only 5 students in class, so the other students were working on other material, and she was kind of behind. So I watched the video with her, the instructional video. She took notes. I kind of just watched and let her take notes. I wasn't really talking during that. And then afterwards, we went through. I had my own little whiteboard and a marker, and we went through almost each problem. There was probably, oh my gosh, 40 problems in them. And we went through almost each problem and we kind of worked on it together and we problem solved. And it was kind of like doing math, oh, what plus what equals this and what times this equals this. And she had a multiplication chart in front of her and we were just working on it together. And I felt like such a teacher in that moment. I was using teacher language and different pedagogies with her, and it was super awesome to experience this moment with her because it was a breakthrough, and I could tell that she was so appreciative that I was sitting with her and I'd be all right, you try this one and I'll do it and we'll double check our work. And it was kind of a little game, and it was fun. I mean, it was something that I enjoyed doing, and I could tell that she was finally feeling awesome about herself because she was able to have these moments where she had breakthrough, where she knew what she was doing, because she was so lost during this whole entire math course. And seeing her be so engaged and happy with what she was doing and really understanding it, and even if she made a mistake, we just worked through it, and seeing her be more engaging was awesome. And then I also talked to Shannon after that, and she was saying that at the beginning of the semester, and I kind of noticed this too, she didn't speak any English, very, very minimal English. And she would just kind of bank on her friends who were kind of bilingual, to just get by, just copy their work, just kind of do what they're doing and get by with that. And so seeing her just this one-on-one work, she was on her own, there weren't a lot of other students there, and I see it in her face of herself feeling valued and feeling herself light up, knowing that she is doing this work on her own and that she's actually understanding it on her own, was huge on my part, or huge on her part. And on my part, I felt that it helped me get over this anxiety that I had, that I wasn't building connections with students. And it made me really realize that putting in this effort, putting this one-on-one effort in, and I know all teachers say it, I just we wish we could do that with every single student, because then there would be there would be such little margins for students that succeed versus students that don't. But being able to have this connection with her was so impactful, and it really, I could see the difference in her eyes. It brightened her day, and she really felt like she was understanding math on her own, and really being acclimated in this culture and in this language. For her, that was huge, because I can only imagine feeling like you have all these barriers against you, feeling in a classroom. And I mean, I've felt this way before. I've felt this way in many classrooms where you're in it and you're just like, what is going on? You feel like you can't do anything on your own. You feel like you're just lost constantly. And imagine like that, but then in a different language. Like, it would take like my anxieties that I have in my classrooms of like maybe not knowing what's going on times like 100 in a different language, because then I'd really just be like, what? Like, excuse me, what? So seeing this from like the standpoint that I was in, and like putting myself in her shoes, like really helped me understand, and like really just like helped me work with her. And then on top of that, like building a super awesome connection with her, and like being comfortable enough to like have this student mentor connection. And she was recognizing me as a mentor. She was recognizing me as someone that like was helping her out. And she, I mean, going forth from here, I really hope that she feels that she can confide with me, because I have worked with them a lot, but it's been usually a group of them, and she has kind of just been quiet and like in the back and kind of just like copying down whatever her friends do. And then so really having this one-on-one moment was very beneficial. If I were to do this over, and like with this critical incident, if I were to do it over, I would maybe try to create more of a dialogue with her. I mean, we really did only talk about math and talk about that assignment, which is a really huge step for me, and I was very proud about that. And like, I could tell that she was very comfortable in that setting, but maybe try to like make a more attempted step to get to know who she is, and, you know, have conversations with her as I'm having with other students in the classroom about, how was your day? How was your Thanksgiving? And though there's that language barrier and that's still ever present there, you know, really trying to get past it, because I feel as though sometimes when people talk to her, and I notice this with my teacher as well, like when she talks to her, you know, you kind of, and I learned about this in my TESOL class, like innatively you kind of talk louder and try to be like, okay, do you get this? Like, here's that, like being super kind of blatant about it, about the language barrier. And I think I was conscious about that, but I do think also there were moments where I'm like, no, you add this. And it's like, I felt like that might be a little demeaning, though she wasn't expressing that's how she felt. Going back and thinking that like I could be more conscious about like, no, like, and just like keeping that tone throughout as if I were talking to just any student, and like using different like tactics of like very like pronunciating my words, but not being obnoxious about it in a sense. So, but overall, I was very happy with the breakthrough I had with this student and like the improvements that I made. So.